Hi viewers, today we are going to discuss about biodiversity conservation. What is biodiversity? If you see the definition of biodiversity, it refers to the protection, upliftment and management of biodiversity in order to derive sustainable benefits for present and future generations. And what is the main objectives of biodiversity? If you see the main objectives of biodiversity to preserve the diversity of species, sustainable utilization of species and ecosystem, to maintain life supporting systems and essential ecological processes. These are the three main objectives of biodiversity. If you see the methods of biodiversity conservation. Biodiversity refers to the variability of life on Earth. It can be conserved in the following ways. One is the in situ conservation, and second one is the ex situ conservation. What is the what mean by in situ conservation? If you see the in situ conservation of biodiversity is the conservation of species within their natural habitat. In this method, the natural ecosystem is maintained and protected. The in situ conservation has several advantages. What are they? It is a cost effective and a convenient method of conserving biodiversity, and a large number of living organisms can be conserved simultaneously. Since the organisms are in a natural ecosystem, they can evolve better and can easily adjust to different environmental conditions. Certain protected areas where in situ conservation takes place include national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, and biosphere reserves. What is the what is national parks? If you see the national parks, these are small reserves maintained by government. Its boundaries are well demarcated and human activities such as grazing, forestry, habitat and cultivation are prohibited in national parks. For example, Kanna National Park and Bandipur National Park is the best. Yeah, national parks. Okay. Here, the mostly occupy an area of 100 to 500 kilometers. There are a total of 104 national parks in India right now. The national parks may even be within a biosphere reservoir. Already, I told Kanna National Park and Bandipur National Park, Gir National Park, Kaziranga National Park, and another one is there in Telangana, uh, Kawal National Park. Okay, and then if you see the wildlife sanctuaries, there are the regions where only wild animals are found. Human activities such as timber harvesting, cultivation, collection of woods, and other forest products are allowed here as long as they do not interfere with the conservation project. Also, tourists visit these places for recreation. If you see there are a total of 551 wildlife sanctuaries in India. For examples, Ghana Bird Sanctuary and Abohar Wildlife Sanctuary and Mudumlai Wildlife Sanctuary. These are the best examples for wildlife sanctuaries. Then, if you see the biosphere reservoirs, biosphere reservoirs are multi-purpose protected areas where the wildlife traditional lifestyle of the inhabitants and plants and animals are protected. Tourist and research activities are permitted here. Okay. The if you see the biodiversity hotspots also is there. The biodiversity hotspots are the areas of conservation where there is strictly a minimum of 1500 species of vascular plants and a habitat that has lost its 70% of cover. Example for biodiversity hotspots, the Himalayas, the Western Ghats, and Northeast and the Nicobar Islands are the best examples. If you see the gene sanctuaries are also there. Gene sanctuary is a conservation area reserved only for plants. These gene sanctuaries are not mentioned in PPT, but the gene sanctuary is a conservation area reserved only for plants. India has its only gene sanctuary set up in Garo Hills of Meghalaya for the conservation of wild species of citrus. Plans to open more such sanctuaries are underway. And another one is this is also not mentioned in presentation, but sacred groves. Sacred groves are conserved areas for wildlife protected by communities due to religious beliefs. It is mostly a part of the forest where its wildlife is given complete protection. These all are comes under uh, in situ conservation. If you see the ex situ conservation, the ex situ conservation means conservation of life outside their natural habitat or place of occurrence. It is the method in which part of the population or the entire endangered species is taken from its natural habitat, which is threatened, and breeding and maintaining of these species take place in artificial ecosystems. You see the ex situ conservation as the following advantages are there. The animals are provided with a longer time and breeding activity, and these species breed in captivity can be reintroduced in the wild. Sorry, genetic techniques can be used for the preservation of endangered species. Okay, the species can be protected from poaching and population management can be efficiently done, and gene techniques can be applied to uh, increase the population of the species, and they can again the reintroduce in the world. Then next, if you see the uh, strategies, biodiversity conservation strategies, these following are the important strategies for biodiversity conservation. Uh, all the varieties of food, timber, plants, livestock, microbes, and agriculture animals should be conserved. All the economically important organisms should be identified and conserved. Unique ecosystem should be preserved first. The resources should be utilized efficiently. Poaching and hunting of wild animals should be prevented. The reserves and protected areas should be developed carefully. The levels of pollutant should be reduced in the environment. Deforestation should be strictly prohibited. Environmental laws should be followed strictly. And next, the useful and endangered species of plants and animals should be conserved in their nature as well as artificial habitats. And another one is the public awareness should be created regarding biodiversity conservation and its importance. And another some points are there. Uh, Conservation of ecosystem, the intent of the conservation of biodiversity is provide long term viability to ecosystem. It is to make sure that ecological integrity is intact. The landscapes of the region which have undergone historical or evolutionary or deterioration can be reinstated, the threats can be removed, and the ecosystem should be able to continue with the ecological process. This is the strategy of biodiversity conservation. And why should you conserve biodiversity? A need for biodiversity conservation is a very important aspect in this nowadays. It is believed that an area with higher species abundance has a more stable environment compared to an area with lower species abundance. We can further claim the necessity of biodiversity by considering our degree of dependency on the environment. We depend directly on various species of plants for our various needs. Similarly, we depend on various species of animals and microbes for different reasons. And another one is the biodiversity is better being lost due to the loss of habitat, over exploitation of resources, climatic changes, pollution, invasive exotic species, diseases, hunting, etc. Since it is provides us with several economic and ethical benefits and adds aesthetic value, it is very important to conserve biodiversity. Okay, this is the actually why should you conserve biodiversity? Need for biodiversity conservation. The mm, various types is there already we studied. A healthy ecosystem means a clean and healthy environment, smooth running food chains, availability of resources, and so on. Human beings are also majorly dependent on the environment for basic necessities and well being. We are interdependent on a variety of species of plants and animals for a living. Hence, it is very important to conserve these species and their ecosystems, which are threatened by many human activities. A threat to biodiversity poses a threat to humankind. It can be the cause of various grave problems like pollution, habitat loss, and resource exploitation. Already we studied climatic change, species extinction, disease outbreak. So many is there, and for economic and various life support reasons, it is a very important to protect and preserve biodiversity. This is the important aspects in biodiversity. Okay, already what we learn from this topic means we'll see another so many here is how you can play your part in helping the planet means environmental conservation. And environmental conservation refers to the environment being used in a way the way that is sustainable. Animals conservation is there, marine conservation is there, human conservation is there, and yeah, this is the conservation of biodiversity. And so many kinds of conservations are there. In that, conservation is another one, and ocean conservation, soil conservation, conservation of grazing lands, and forest conservation, mineral conservation, and energy conservation, and urban conservation. Each kind of conservation has different problems and solutions. Often, however, the management of one resource affects several other resources. For example, the conservation of forest helps conserve biodiversity, water, and soil. Forests absorb rainwater and so keep it from running off the land too rapidly. They thus help prevent rainwater from washing away the soil. Forests also provide homes for animals, plants also provide and other living things. In fact, a forest constitutes an ecosystem, a group of living organisms interacting with one another and with their physical environment. You see, the already we studied about biodiversity conservation, but today we are going to and another one. Yeah, you see the study of water conservation. What is water conservation? In water conservation, people require clean, fresh drinking water. People also use water for bathing, cooking, and cleaning. Farmers need water to irrigate dry croplands, and industries use water to produce electric power and in the manufacture of many products. Water is also important in recreation and transportation. The demand for water is constantly increasing as a result of population growth and the expansion of agriculture and industry. The earth has an abundant supply of water, but the water is unevenly distributed. Some areas do not receive enough rainfall, while others get more than they need. Many dry regions of the world, such as the Middle East, North Africa, and parts of Western and Central North America, face serious water shortages. In some areas, people obtain water by drilling wells to tap underground supplies. And but in parts of the western and central United States, farmers have drilled so many wells to provide water for irrigation that the level of the groundwater has been greatly lowered. Many cities have also used up much of their groundwater. In some cases, underground reservoirs can be refilled by pumping in water during periods of heavy rainfall. Some rural areas and cities obtain water by damming rivers to create reservoirs. Engineers also built dams to control flooding, but in many cases, the construction of new dams to meet ever increasing demands for water or to reduce flood threatens wildlife. For example, during the late 1970s, conservationists opposed the construction of the Tellico Dam on the Little Tunisia River because of its possible harmful effect on a rare species of fish called the snail darter. The dam was completed in 1979 and some snail darters were transferred to the Hawassi River in Tunisia in an attempt to ensure their survival. This is the best example uh, of conservation requirement of water conservation. Yeah, if you see the soil conservation, soil is essential for the growth of plants, which in turn provide food for animals and human beings. Soil consists chiefly of mineral mixed with organic matter. Soil forms from rocks and similar materials that are broken up into smaller particles by physical and chemical process called weathering. Already we are studied about weathering in last previous classes. శైథిల్య ప్రక్రియ అంటాం దీన్నే. The particles become mixed with humus, a substance formed from plant and animals remains. Bacteria in the soil break down the humus into nutrients needed by plants. The thin layer of fertile soil that conserved much of the land was formed by natural process of over thousands of years, but in many areas, careless human practices have destroyed the soil in just a few years. Rain, wind, and other natural forces gradually wear away the soil. This process called erosion normally occurs slowly, but people have greatly increased the rate of soil erosion by removing natural vegetation to clear land for construction projects, mines, or farmland. Plants protect soil from rain and wind, their roots from the underground network that holds soil in place. Plants also absorb some rainwater so that less runs off the land. Thus, fewer soil particles are washed away. Soil erosion has long been a major conservation problem, especially on croplands. In the United States, soil erosion has severely damaged millions of acres of hectares of land. Much of the soil eroded each year ends up in lakes, streams, and rivers. Farmers can reduce soil erosion by planting trees and leaving patches of natural vegetation between their field and on other upland areas. The trees serve as windbreaks and the plant cover slows the runoff rainwater. Many farmers also practice such soil conservation methods as contour plowing, strip cropping, terracing, and minimum tillage. Counter plowing is practiced on sloping land. Farmers plow occurs a slope instead of up and down. The plowed soil forms ridges across the slope. The ridges help slow the flow of rainwater. This is the minimum. These are the main conservation methods of soil. Another major conservation problem on farmlands is declining soil fertility, which is caused partially by planting the same crop in the field year after year. Corn, wheat, and other grain crops drain the soil of the essential chemicals called nitrogen. If they are grown on the same field for several years, the farmers can maintain the fertility of the soil by practicing crop rotation, in which crops are alternated from year to year. The rotation crop is usually a legume such as alfalfa or soybeans. Unlike corn and wheat, legumes restore nitrogen to the soil. Some farmers add plant remains or manure to their field to enrich the soil. Many use chemical fertilizers for this purpose. However, excessive use of some chemical fertilizers may decrease the ability of bacteria to decay humus and produce nutrients naturally. As the result, the soil may gradually harden and lose much of its ability to absorb rainwater. The soil then erodes more easily. In addition, the chemicals from fertilizers may wash out of the soil and enter lakes, streams, and even wells, polluting the water. Excessive use of pesticides causes similar problems. A common problem in irrigated farmland is the buildup of various chemical salts in the soil. Most irrigation water contains small amounts of these salts. In time, the salts accumulate in the soil and may reduce plant growth and ruin cropland. This is the main important points of soil conservation, and so many conservations are there. Energy conservation is another one. All industries require energy to operate. Energy is also used in transportation and recreation. In addition, we use energy to warm and cool our homes, to cook food, to provide lighting, and to operate many appliances. About 95% of the energy used throughout the world comes from soil, oil, coal, and natural gases. These substances are called fossil fuel because they developed from fossilized remains of prehistoric plants and animals. Large deposits of fossil fuel take millions of years to form. The earth has a limited supply of fossil fuel, but the worldwide use of fossil fuel has nearly doubled every 20 years since 1900. As the supply windmills, the cost of fossil fuels keeps rising. Many nations are working to develop other sources of energy to reduce their dependence on fossil fuel, but every source of energy has some disadvantages that make it development difficult. This is the soil energy conservation, and see the another mineral conservation. Minerals include such substances as copper, gold, iron, lead, and salt. Industries use minerals to manufacture countless products. The use of many minerals has increased greatly throughout the world. The use of aluminium, for example, has increased about 5 times since 1960. The use of nickel has more than doubled during this period. Some minerals, such as bauxite and salt, are plentiful, but the provide reserves of such minerals as copper, lead, nickel, and zinc may be depleted within 100 years. Mining companies can profitably extract most minerals only where they occur in large deposits. Industries first develop the highest grade and most easily mineable ores. When these are depleted, mining companies turn to lower grade and harder to mine ores. Many such deposits require advanced technology and a large amount of energy to mine. Some take so much energy to mine and refine that they cannot be profitable developed. Deposits of minerals are unevenly distributed around the world. This uneven distribution of mineral has played a major role in history. For example, the ancient Romans bottled the cells for control of the tin mines in southern England. A desire for gold was largely responsible for the Spanish exploration and conquest of many parts of the New World. The need for mineral continues to influence international relations today. Many countries must import large amount of various minerals. The United States, for example, imports almost all of the sheet, mica, and strontium is uses. These are the we can conserve minerals in a number of ways. Industries can reduce waste by using more efficient mining and processing methods. In some cases, industries can substitute plentiful minerals for a scarce one. Some mineral products can be recycled. Okay, this is the this all about mineral conservation. So many conservations are there, and another one is grazing lands and ocean conservation. Already we discussed, and water conservation also discussed. Forest conservation is there. These are the types of conservation. But the important conservation as per our syllabus, the conservation of biodiversity is very important. Okay, thank you.